see what's going on in the background there, right? We're not going to be talking about that this week, but we're definitely going to be dealing with that next week. So, and then today we're going to talk about something a little different. But we're going to give people a little time to get out here. And while you guys are getting out here, you can see what's going on in our country. In the background right there. Let me bring it a little closer. So you guys, this is what's going on in our country. So check it out. We're going to start the show in a minute. Well, we will be discussing, am I my brother's keeper? I'll be right back. All right, we should be at 2 o'clock mark. That was just a little bit of today's business going on. Right now you hear the master, Miles Davis. We're going to go back. We want to give you a treat today with Thelonious Monk taking over the mic. The mic is live with Thelonious Monk today, playing in the background. Remember, if music's too loud, let me know. I can turn it down. Appreciate you guys coming out and supporting Babs. You're so faithful. You're out here every week with me. I appreciate that. My nephew Sean, Stephen, Ground Zero Cruise Control's out here. Good to see you, my friend. We are at our 13th week here with the show and everything, and we appreciate the support we've been getting so far. The numbers are coming up. As we said before, we don't want your money. Money's good. Money's always good to work with, but that's not what we're really looking for right now. What we need, and the way this works right now in this time period with the new technologies, is we need the numbers. We need you guys to like the program. We need you to go to the YouTube channel, let your friends know, hit the subscribe button, because once we get our numbers up, then we can go to the sponsors and get the monies that we need to start the radio station and keep everything moving with our music productions and everything. So it's all about the numbers right now. You know, people have been asking where can they send donations. I really appreciate it, but that's not what I need right now. Any donations that'll come in really won't do the job that needs to be done. So I don't want you, just throwing good money after bad. If you do want to add some money to the cause, feel free to go to YouTube, go to Spotify, and with just about any electronic outlet now, the album is out there. We signed on to CD Baby, and they put it in the stores for us. So any major online downloading instrument you can go to, and you'll see the album Tears. If you got some money you want to give us, give it to us that way. Buy the album. The gospel album is going to be published in a few weeks. That'll be available for sale. I'm headed down to Virginia next weekend And a little bit of good news, I'll be producing a gospel CD with my brother and his wife. So look for that. That'll be coming out soon too. We want to touch on all genres in terms of what we're in our production. So we got the Tears is a R&B album, and then we'll have these two gospels out there. We're gonna do some rock and roll hopefully next summer. We'll be releasing some blues singles and a jazz straight ahead album. So we're gonna be hitting you upside the head with some music real soon. So be on the lookout for it. And but our main focus right now, while we're working on the music in the background, is getting this platform off the ground. We want to really get this thing going to where we'll have a medium of our own where we could support our black businesses, any community initiatives, health, wealth, economics. We want to delve into all those areas. We're going to reach out to Dr. Boyce Watkins once we get things up, and hopefully he'll come on and do a segment with us. And, we're just going to try to keep it interesting, keep it moving for you guys. All right. I know it's past 2 o'clock, so we're going to get into our discussion. I got to get out of here by 3 o'clock. Today's discussion has been prompted by what's been going on in the media. You see, as I played with the show just now, with the opening, you see what's going on out there in Berkeley and down in the South. They're having these big alt-right KKK rallies going on today. I'm going to touch on that a little bit, but that's going to be a whole nother discussion, because today what I want to talk about is, am I my brother's keeper? Am I my brother's keeper? As I said, we see what's going on in the South. We see what they're doing. The alt-rights and these guys, they're getting together and they're formulating their social and political base so that they are a force to be reckoned with. And I ain't mad at them. A lot of people might take offense and I think they're a terrorist group. I don't think they should have the right to march in the streets. But at the same time, you got to respect their gangster. They know who they are, and they're putting their resources together, and they're letting people know that they are here. They've always been here. And if I say anything about our brother Barack Obama, I say that was one of the downfalls of his being elected president, is that it turned a blind eye to the racism that still exists in this country. People thought that because he got elected, everything was hunky-dory and we didn't have anything to worry about. And I was telling people for years, the only reason that brother got elected was to fix the problems that these white supremacists have caused. And once he fixed the problems, it's going to be business as usual. And as you can see, we have a president in the White House who surrounded himself by white supremacists, and now they're out there in force, marching and letting people know that they're not going nowhere, that they're here to stay. This is their country, and the rest of us are visitors, which we know isn't true, but that's their brain damaged way of thinking. And that's why we have to really think about what we're doing, where we're going in terms of our economic, political, and social strength, and take a page from their book and really put this thing together and work in our communities, work in our different organizations, and make sure that we have a future in this country and in our various regions. It's very, very important. Who is that came on board with us? I can't. Your name is Sideways, but thanks for coming out and joining the discussion today. All right, so what I wanted to talk to you about was the subject of, am I my brother's keeper? Now, most people, if you're a Christian, if you believe in the Christian faith, and like I said from the very onset of my podcast, I don't want to delve too far into religion, because that's not what this is about. I'm not going to prostitute my religious beliefs on you, or try to say yay or nay to any other. How I feel is how I feel, and how I worship God is how I worship God. but I will be looking at it from a scholarly standpoint. And from that standpoint, you know, a lot of religious scholars and religious people believe in the Bible, and they believe in the stories that come out of them. And one of the stories that's told was about the first murder that happened between men. And if you're not familiar with the story of Cain and Abel, they were supposed to be the first two sons of Adam. And what happened was Cain killed his brother, Abel. Cain was the tiller of the land. He grew crops. And Abel was one that tended the flock, the sheep and the ox and things of that nature. When it came down to sacrificing to God a portion of what they reaped in their harvest, Abel came with the best of the of the meat that he tended, while Cain, on the other hand, felt begrudging, like, yo, I did the work, why should God get all the credit? So he didn't give God the best, so his offering was rejected. It wasn't, and a lot of people miss the nuance of that story. It wasn't so much that he didn't give the best part of the physical crops. He didn't give God the best part of himself. He didn't come openly and give to God an open spirit and an open heart. So therefore, his offering was rejected. And after seeing his brother's offering was accepted, not because so much of what he gave, but because of how he gave it. He gave it with a true, open, thankful spirit to the Creator, and his offering was accepted. Cain became jealous of his brother, and he killed him. And God came looking for his servant, and he asked his brother, like, yo, where's your brother? You know, I can't find him nowhere. And Cain's answer to God was, am I my brother's keeper? You know, meaning, how should I know? Am I supposed to look out for a grown man? All right. Now, I want you to keep that parable in mind, because we're going to be referring back to it as we look at the social and economic and political structure that's going on today and how it applies to some of the mainstream stories that are going on. And and of course, as you can see from the tag that I sent out in terms of the advertisement, you can see the main focus of this is going to be around our brother Colin Kaepernick and the stance he took against the NFL and the way he's being treated now, not being able to be assigned to a team, even though they're signing all these scrubs. They're bringing people out of retirement, doing anything and everything in the world to keep this brother from being assigned to a team, all because he exercised his First Amendment right and stood up and spoke out against police brutality. Now, there's certain themes that we need to look at when we look at the Cain and Abel story. We look at jealousy. We need to look at deception. We need to look at murder. We need to look at the fact that he covered it up by burying his brother. He must have did a good job if God couldn't find him, but who knows what he did with the body. And then we need to look at the final part, conspiracy. All right, and now we want to apply all of that and see how it plays a part in the Colin Kaepernick situation. Now here it is. We have a brother that was one touchdown and one play away from the Super Bowl from his last game in the NFL. But they still tried to make it a thing of his skills not being the primary reason for him not being able to be signed to a team. Well, we know that that's far-fetched and far from the truth. We're looking at all these scrubs, wife beaters, criminals, guys that have brought disgrace to the league, but they were still able to find a team and be signed for the season. So anybody with common sense, can see that what's going on is basically the white owners of the NFL, looking at Colin Kaepernick, and looking at the rest of the team, the rest of the league, which is 70% black men. All right, that's a very important number. I want you to remember that number as we go through the discussion. 70% of the teams, of the players on these teams throughout the league are black individuals, that come from these neighborhoods where this brutality is going on. And Colin was the only one that stood up and put his career and his life on the line. He's been getting death threats and the whole nine, just to say that, just because he said, hey, this is wrong. Nothing more, nothing less. This is wrong. It has to stop, and there has to be something done about it. He used his high-profile platform to make that statement, and now he's being blackballed. That's just the injustice of it. The fact that this man, and you can say what you want, in terms of him doing it on NFL time, that he shouldn't have done it in his uniform, that he shouldn't have made his job about his protest. But the truth of the matter is, your freedom of speech don't stop at the door. Your freedom of speech don't stop at the door of your job. Your freedom of speech does not stop at the door of the stadium. All right, that's an inalienable right that you have as an American. And even though I have a problem with that whole thing about rights, my thing is, and one of the mistakes that the founder father made, in my opinion, is instead of the word rights, they should have infused the word responsibility. I never seen God give a man a right. I'm very versed on the King James Bible. I studied the Quran. I studied certain parts of Judaism, and the Talmud, and the Shura, and nowhere in any of those holy writings have I ever seen God give a man a right. God has always given men responsibility. So just for the sake of the conversation, I will infuse that word responsibility with the words right. And I think that is your constitutional responsibility. Freedom of speech is a constitutional responsibility, and then with all responsibilities, it should be handled in a responsible manner. And I think Colin Kaepernick taking a knee, using his responsibility to voice an opinion about something that was so dear to his heart and his manhood, I think that it's an injustice that he's being treated the way he is. My head is turned sideways because my phone is sideways, so everybody's name is sideways. I hear you, Shannon. I appreciate you. That's my cousin, Shannon. I appreciate the support. But, all right, so that's just the injustice that this brother is facing. Okay, so then the question becomes, all right, am I my brother's keeper? Is it on me? Is it incumbent upon me to take this fight on and support him the way he supported us? Okay. Now, we have to understand, and any adult understands, that there's no guarantees in this life. Okay? Just because a man stands up and makes a statement, you could be outside. Let's say you're outside, you're walking down the street, somebody jump on you and start beating you down. And then somebody else jumps in and saves you, but at the same time, they beat the other person senseless and they get arrested. Now, are you obligated to support that person that saved you? No, you're not. You're not obligated. There's nothing obligating you. However, there's nothing legally obligating you, but there's something spiritually that ties you and morally ties you to that individual that saved you. And you cannot get away from that. And the same thing that's happening with our brother here, Colin Kaepernick. No one's obligated to sign him to a team, and nobody's obligated to get out and protest and fight for him. All right, but there is a moral and ethical responsibility that we cannot run from. Okay, and I say this because I noticed that there's a lack of support for this brother around the league. Now remember, let's go back to that number. 70% of the players that are out on this field every Sunday and Saturday, and Monday night when football season starts, These are men of color. These are African American men. These are Moors. These are Nubians that share the same historical plight as Colin Kaepernick. And they're not standing up. And the ones that do are telling him, oh, you need to cut your hair. You know, they talking like Ray Lewis and all them other dudes, you know. And let's look at this, you know, from a logical perspective. You know, I heard somebody once said, you know, the people that always tell you to later for the money and fight for the cause is usually some broke dude that ain't got a penny his damn self. And that's kind of true. You know, when you look at the millions of dollars that are at stake, it was easy for me to sit here, you know, and say, you know, they should just walk away from the money and that, and this, that, and the other. But the reality is they have families too. Okay, they have careers that they worked hard for. You know, I know how I would feel if you know, if I was signed to a big record label and not struggling, and I practiced all my life, got kicked out of my house and all kinds of stuff just to play music, and I finally get there and I'm making millions of dollars, and somebody say, listen, man, you need to, let's say, later for that million and go for the cause. You know, I have to step back and think for a minute, like, wait a minute, like, you know. But the reality is that, again, there's a moral and ethical responsibility that I can't hide from, that I can't run from, that a lot of entertainers and athletes do hide and run from. And I'm not saying you got to go in there all rah-rah, kick the door down and be blacker than the next man. But what I am saying is there is a way to show support to this brother. Maybe you don't take a knee. Maybe you stand up and say, yeah, okay, I'm in uniform. I'm contractually obligated to represent the NFL and the team that I play for. Do that, all right? But on your own time, in your own way, they don't own you like that. You know, they don't. You're not totally obligated to give your voice and your total person to the league. You know, you can have your own private news conference. You know, if you don't want to take a knee or feel that you got to do something on the field, I respect that. But at the same time, you're a private citizen as well as a celebrity, and you can go out there and you can make a statement and you can show them that what they're doing is wrong against this man, and then you can stand with this brother because yes, you are your brother's keeper. You know, you have an obligation. Just like he has an obligation, had an obligation. He chose to do it that way. You can choose to do it another way, but you can still make that statement. And it's really disappointing that the owner of the Cowboys can come out and tell his players that anybody that don't salute the flag is off the team. And not one of them came out and said not one thing. You know, now I'm hoping that they're not saying nothing, but they are planning an action, like to get up on the day of opening day and not salute the flag and show him that you're going to have to start this team from scratch, that our manhood do not come this cheap. Our responsibility to the freedom of speech is not bought and sold for a few $1 million contract, you know. And let's get this straight, you know, in terms of our economic strength and our economic viability, a lot of that money comes from these sports and entertainment arenas. It's just that we can't be slaves to it. All right, some of you older players that's been in the league and you made your money, you have the obligation and the opportunity to make that statement. If some of the younger players haven't made their money yet, give them a pass on that. You know, and if some of them do stand up and decide to make a stand and they lose money, help them out because we are our brother's keeper. But the bottom line is we the people have to stand up and let the NFL know that they haven't lived up to their obligation to us. All right, how you doing, Liz? It's good to see you in the feed. It's very important that we the people, because as I showed you at the top of the podcast, what was going on in Mississippi and these other communities around the country where these people are protesting, talking about the alt-right and the KKK and all these people are coming out protesting. Guess who shut them down? And this was a big story on CNN and MSNBC this morning. The people shut them down. The police stood by and let them do whatever they want. All right, you haven't heard one word from Donald Trump. He hasn't come out and made one word. Now, when Ferguson went down, when the riots in Ferguson went down, they had police out there, they had tanks out there. People couldn't do nothing without getting arrested and locked up and tear gassed. All right? Even the president at the time, Barack Obama, came out and denounced any forms of violence from the black community, even though they had every right to do what they were doing at that time. But the brother still came out and called for unity around the country. Have you heard one word from President Trump? All right? The news showed how these alt-right people were throwing bottles and rocks and Molotov cocktails, hitting the police, not at regular civilians, at the police. And the police didn't lock nobody up. All right? Look at the contrast that's going on here. You have to understand what's going on here, the contrast. All right? In terms of who's being supported and how they're being supported. All right? Am I my brother's keeper? Yes, you are. We are our brother Colin Kaepernick's keeper. But that's not the focus. Okay? The focus is how the people, right? The people got involved and stopped that marching going on down there until the state officials had to declare the march, which they should have never gotten a permit for it anyway, because the Ku Klux Klan and the alt-right and all them guys, they're nothing but terrorist organizations. Now, can you imagine if ISIS wanted to hold a rally in Central Park? You think they'd have got a license for it? Well, it's the same thing. It's the same difference. All right? But my point is the people, the people got out there and stopped them. The police didn't stop them. The president hasn't made a statement, didn't declare martial law, didn't send in no troops or nothing. The people got out there and said, no, this is not going on in our community. All right, there was a Republican senator that got on CNN, and the man looked like he wanted to break down in tears how he felt so ashamed of the Republican Party. This is a Republican senator saying that all those alt-right people that Donald Trump got around him, he has to fire them, or he's going to personally make a move to have him impeached. This is a Republican senator saying that. Okay, so when it comes down to it, we the people make a difference. Yeah, the players need to stand up. The players need to stand with our brother Colin Kaepernick. But we the fans have to make an impact to the NFL, the NBA, and all these other sports, Major League Baseball, and all these other sports and entertainment outlets, and let them know that we the people do not like what's going on. We don't like the fact that there are no black directors and that black actors are not on camera unless they're selling drugs or twerking or somebody's damn butler or slave. Right, we have to let the NFL know in no uncertain terms that it's not about Colin Kaepernick getting a job. Because when I understand the NFL is supposed to be signing him anyway, I think the Giants are looking at him. But that's not where this ends. Because you've shown your face. You've shown us how you feel. You know, there has to be a change. There has to be more owners. There has to be more owners of some people of color up there in the big box smoking those big $20 and $30 cigars. Not just a bunch of fat, old, greasy white men dictating how these men are going to live their lives. That's not for you to say if a man wants to take a knee, you know? It's not for you to say if a man wants to stand and salute the flag. When I was a teacher in the high schools and they used to do the national anthem, I never stood. There's no way I was going to stand. And any one young person that felt that they didn't want to stand, I didn't make them stand. You know, because the bottom line is that a forced pledge is a false pledge. If you have to force somebody to pledge allegiance to the flag, that's a false pledge and that's a lie. And that's not where their heart is. And my heart is not is aligned to the allegiance to the United States of America. My allegiance is to God first, my family second, and my community, and in that order. And then to all mankind, not to just one country. Because your rights, remember that word rights? Those things are given and taken at the point of a gun. Okay? But the responsibility to humanity, the responsibility to yourself, to your family, and to your community, That's what God gave you, and that can never be taken away, and you can never escape that. Okay? And the responsibility that we have to Colin Kaepernick and standing not just behind him, but what he stood for. And that's what a lot of people are missing. And that's what you got to watch about white supremacists. They'll smack you in the face, one with an open hand, and then seem to remedy the situation, but really it's a backhand slap from the other side. All right? So they disconnect the brother from the NFL and disrespect him with injustice, so we can get all riled up and, justice for Colin and this, that, and the other. But at the same time, we misfocus on the main issue, which the brother was fighting for in the first place. So then the Giants give him a gig. He's back in the NFL, and then there's no reason to boycott the NFL. There's no reason to come together and unify on the cause no more, because Colin got his job back. So our cause has been negated. All right, that's what I mean by that backhanded slap. They smack you one way by telling them, "Look, boy, don't you stand up and talk about freedom." And then when we get mad enough to boycott, they smack them another way and say, "Oh, we'll give you a job, so stop the protest." No, we need to boycott the NFL until that total mindset changes, until they address the problem that's plaguing a lot of their fans. All right, we bring a lot of money to the NFL, buying jerseys, buying tickets, going to their auctions, buying memorabilia. A lot of that money comes out of the black community. And have they once said anything about police brutality? Have they spoken up about the disparity and incarcerated individuals? No, they haven't. 70% of the players on the field are black. All right, more than 35% of their fan base are black, but yet they have not yet. The only stance that they took regarding police brutality is to ostracize the one man that's in the league that stood up for it and made a statement about it. So it's more than Colin Kaepernick getting his gig back. Right? It's about the mindset of these owners. And think about that, owners. Somebody was saying on another podcast that I was looking at, the NFL is one of the only entities in this world where people can go to work for someone that owns them. Think about that. What a lot of athletes didn't know, and they're starting to do now, is that they incorporate themselves. They incorporate their name. And then they lease their name to themselves to lease out to the league. That's very different than signing a contract and the league having ownership over you, which a lot of these brothers didn't do. They didn't incorporate themselves first, but they signed an individual contract. They are individually contracted to the NFL, and under that contract, the NFL team owns them. When else has anybody else ever owned 70% of the population of their entity being black? That's slavery, exactly. So what we're looking at is a bunch of modern-day slaves owned by these men that don't respect them, the communities that they come from, nor the fan base that supports them. And that's why I said he needs support from the players. The players need to do a better job of supporting that brother, but the real impact has to come from the fans. The fans have to boycott the NFL. We have to boycott all of their sponsorship partners, all the people that's pumping money into this machine until they get it through their head. It's not just about Colin getting his job back, but it's about you respecting your fan base and showing support for the fan base that makes you what you are. So don't get distracted from the real issue. The real issue isn't. I see David and Tommy has joined the conversation. What's up, guys? Great to see you out there. So the issue isn't just about Colin Kaepernick getting a job. That's not why Colin took a knee. That's not why he refused to salute the flag. It wasn't because he wanted a job. It's because he wanted social justice for his people. He saw something going on in this country that wasn't right. All right? He took a stand for it. Why? Because in his heart of hearts, he had to ask that question. All right, do I want to sacrifice what took me all my life to get to? I worked hard. I played in school. While other people was out chasing girls and getting high and having fun, I was on the field, sharpening my game. I denied myself the parties. I denied myself staying out late. I took care of my body. Now I'm making millions of dollars. So I want to sacrifice all that I did and all that I've accomplished. So I want to sacrifice that for some dude out and that got arrested and that some people say didn't comply with the officers and got shot down and killed. And in his heart of hearts, he had to come up with the answer, yes, I have to because I am my brother's keeper. No matter what job I have, no matter what community I live in, no matter how much money I'm making, and at the end of the day, I have a responsibility to the people around me. I have a responsibility to humanity. And that responsibility won't allow me to sit back and watch what's going on without standing up and saying something. Because at the end of the day, when that creator, whether it be God, Allah, Buddha, whoever you believe in, asks you, where is your brother? You cannot turn around with a straight face and ask, am I my brother's keeper? Because by then, your spirit, your soul should tell you the answer. Yes, you are. Yes, you are. And whatever little thing you can do to make it better for your brother, you need to do. And if you want to stand up and sacrifice, then more power to you, and people should rally around you if you make a sacrifice like that. All right? So, again, you can like put in the search bar of your Facebook, and it will show you the website. Just look up Boycott the NFL, and you will see the website where we've started a boycott of the NFL. I understand Spike Lee is going to have a rally in front of the NFL building. If you can make that, I suggest you get down there, let your voice be heard. There are also some political activists, some churches, so this thing is growing. It's not like I'm talking out the side of my face. I was one of the few people that sort of locked onto this thing and was talking about it in the beginning, but now it's starting to be a movement where, people are waking up and they're seeing how we're being very disrespected by the NFL and other sports agencies. And this should be, and everybody said, well, why target just the NFL and, why not do a broad thing? But sometimes you got to focus your efforts, focus your chi, and let them know. Once they see what goes on with the NFL, believe me, it's going to reverberate throughout the industries across the country, and they're going to see, because the NFL is one of the most powerful sports entities in this country. So for all the Ray Lewises and all those other dudes talking about, he needs to just cut his hair and stop being so militant and all that. No, it's not that simple. The sports industry in America shapes so many things. They shape social thought. They shape fashion. They shape consciousness. They're movers and shakers in the entertainment industry as well as business industry. So it's not as simple as that. It's not as simple as just going along to get along. And if we just allow them to continue to disrespect our community the way they have, then we're allowing them to shape all of these entities in a way that it adversely affects us and makes us very dependent upon them when we're striving for independence. So this boycott of the NFL is real, but let's look at the real impact that we're trying to make. We want our brother Colin to get his job back. We want him back on the field. We want to see him get his fair shake. And who knows, he might not last, but that's not the point. The point is we want him to get his fair shake. But the real focus of this thing is not so much of him getting his job back, but looking at the injustice that he he was talking about. And let's get that discussion going again in full swing. You know, this police brutality, the inequity in the prison system, and the way that these police, you know, like years ago, I remember like in the 70s and the 60s coming up when brothers got beat down or whatever, there was always this cloud of suspicion around the victim, and the police got off. But now with the advent of social media, everybody's got cameras on their phone. We're actually seeing what's happening. We're seeing this stuff played out live before our eyes, and they're still getting off. They still people. You got these jurors talking about acquitting these people, talking about not enough information when you can see what's going on. You see them beating 5 or 6 cops, beating on somebody, saying, "Stop resisting," while they stomping on them. You see guys running from police getting shot in the back, and the jurors still saying they can't make up their mind whether or not the cop was fearing for his life. How you gonna fear for your life when somebody running from you? You know? And don't get me wrong, this ain't about cop bashing. Okay? I got cops in my family, grew up with them, you know, and lived with them in the whole nine. So it's not about cop bashing. It's about dealing with the issue of brutality. You know, it's about getting the bad apples out. Okay? And until that's done, until the quote-unquote good cop steps up and stops these thugs from beating on people and shooting people mercilessly, then there are no such things as good cops. You're all part of a bad institution. You know? You're part of a bad institution. Because when they roll up on a gang of boys and find a guy with the gun, they don't say, "Oh, well, these boys are good and that's the bad guy." No, you're all guilty by association. And you're all going in on a conspiracy. Okay? So, like I said, it ain't about cop bashing, but it's about injustice and getting justice done. And if you're going to bash the cops, you got to bash the judges, the juries, the DAs, the whole court system that allow this stuff to go on. Okay? So, again, am I my brother's keeper? Yes, I am. I'm my brother's keeper, and I say we stand with this brother, Colin Kaepernick, and we try our best to make sure that the things that he was standing for and sacrificed for are addressed and dealt with. Okay? And this goes back to my other point last week when we were going over the new black codes. Okay? One of those codes said that I will no longer march, sing, and pray for change. I will join social, political, and economic organizations so that when things happen, I will be a force to be reckoned with. You know, we need to get off that marching and singing crap. All right, because as you see from the video I showed at the top of the podcast, these folks ain't out here marching and singing. They got clubs and bats and they ready to do business. Like I said, the police ain't do nothing. It was the people that got out there and shut them down and made them go home. And until we are in a position to make ourselves known, to make our voices known that way, we're not going to get anything done. You know, we need to get inside of these political organizations. I'm not saying you got to be a Democrat. I'm not saying you got to be a Republican, because quite frankly, neither one of them did a damn thing for us. I'm saying get inside and see and know how they work so that you can counteract any changes that are coming down the pike that's going to affect you and your community. Get inside of these economic organizations. Go to these seminars. You know, learn real estate. That's some of the things, you know, that my lady's been talking to me about. That we need to get into real estate, and we're going to be taking classes pretty soon. I recommend you do the same thing. You know, get those passports together. I've been saying that throughout my podcast. Get those passports together. You got a young man, a young lady in your household, make sure they get their driver's license. They ain't got to get a car, but get that license. Get your gun licenses. Get trained on how to use your guns and have them locked up safely in your home, ready to protect yourself. All right, get out there in the wilderness. Go camping with your family. Learn how to start a fire without matches. Okay, learn how to live off the land, what berries to eat, what berries not to eat, how to fish, how to track game. I don't eat meat, but you know what I'm saying. How to track a deer silently, you know, how to track boar, wild boar, how how to live off the land if something goes crazy. You know, you'll be able to set up your tent and go fishing and grow your own food. You know, these are things that we have to learn and we got to be ready for and be able to take care of ourselves so that we can take care of others. Because in the long run, I'm not getting into no religious thing here. Even if it's the universe itself, it's going to come back around on you. It's going to ask you, where's your brother? Is your brother taken care of? And you can't do like Cain did and look to the universe and ask, am I my brother's keeper? Because yes, you are. You're responsible just like he's responsible for you. Because we're all part of the same family. And that's what these alt-right people and these KKK people that are marching, they missed the boat on. Nobody's saying that you got to be afraid, you know, of losing your foothold and losing who you are, you know, and rallying around each other. There's nothing wrong with that. The problem is that you want to exclude everybody else and gain your power at their expense. And that is a universal no-no. That comes back around when you look at the universal whole, when you look at the universal family. You know, you could be for white power, you know, just like I could be for black power. But in the end, it's all humanity. Humanity is all one. And that's where they missed the boat. That's where these terrorist organizations missed the boat. They're so caught up in that ideology that they miss their responsibility that was God-given. You know, they're talking about the rights and this, that, and other that the Constitution gave, but God gave you a responsibility to look out for your brother, to look out for your fellow man. You know, you're talking about this border wall, this, that, and other. Come on, man. What right do you have to lock down any portion of celestial space? You know, whatever border you built and space you claimed, that was, we rotated away from that eons ago. We're in a whole different celestial space right now. So how do you constantly change your border? That time-space don't exist no more that you was fighting over. So you're, from a scientific standpoint, your argument is illogical. It's a non sequitur. There's no place should be cut off on this planet for any human being. If they're coming with a productive, righteous way about them, they should go anywhere on this planet to make a living and a life for themselves. Okay? So, you know, we really have to focus in and realize that we're not on this planet alone. You know, we have a responsibility to each other. And yes, we are our brother's keeper. So all you NFL players out there, you know, you are your brother's keeper. Colin Kaepernick should not be standing alone, you know, and what he's standing for. Again, I don't want people to lose focus on that. You know, what the things that he is standing for is the real focus, not just him getting a job, but what he's standing for is what the real purpose is. Okay, my time is just about up. It is 2:50. I can't believe how time has flown. But I did want to touch on some of the running themes that I have in my my podcast. Running theme number one is our children. Am I my brother's keeper? Yes, I am. School is starting back pretty soon. All right, let's look out for our children. Let's be on the lookout for the bullying that goes on. All right, bullying is a very serious problem. We have a president who's a bully, so naturally there are going to be some people that follow suit. I remember when he was elected that you had kids in the Midwest chanting to the Mexican students, you know, telling them to build that wall and being very nasty to them. You know, they're bullying our young girls. Different schools telling them they can't wear braids, and you know, all this is a psychological game that they're running. You know, so be aware of that, and let's be aware of our children and the bullying that goes on when they go back to school. Talk to your kids, ask them how their day was, were there any problems, anything that you should be aware of. You know, be aware of what's going on in our children's lives. You know, we talk often on the podcast about depression, anxiety. You know, children go through this. You know, they have problems just like we do. and you go to work and somebody's in your office harassing you, you can go to HR and that person will be dealt with. But a lot of times in these schools, children aren't that sophisticated. I'm not saying the help might not be there, but they're not sophisticated enough to go and say, hey, this guy is messing with me every day. And a lot of them walk around with that stuff. All right? You are your brother's keeper. If you have little brothers and sisters, look out for them. Talk to them and find out, what's going on in their head and how their day is going. All right, so just make sure that we're aware of that as school starting. Again, we are our brother's keeper. My friend Patrick Sterling, that's Patrick Sterling. He's an accountant out in Queens, but he also does like after school drives where he gives shoes and backpacks and things of that nature to kids. All right, you can get in touch with him on Facebook as well. Just put in the name search Patrick Sterling, or you can go and look at my friends list and get his name off of there. They do a lot. He does a lot of things this time of year for kids. There are other people that are doing it as well. So look out for our kids. Look out for the kid that don't have a pair of shoes or a backpack, and try and get them something so that they can have a productive school year as well. I know they're doing, Tariq Nasheed was talking about a drive that they were doing in California. I think today, as a matter of fact. So, look out for the kids, and let's, we're, like I said, we're our brother's keeper, and let's look out for them. All right, finally, I'm going to talk about health and fitness. I am my brother's keeper. Let's look out for our people, that's having health issues. Let's keep it going and help our elderly, get them out there, get them walking, get the heart working and keeping things going. Get a partner if you need to. Get to the gym. Let's work out. Let's motivate each other to get healthy, eat healthy. Get rid of all that salt and pork and beef and all that nonsense that we be putting in our bodies. Let's get towards, eating more vegetables and fish, things that's going to boost your immune system, and stay away from the garbage that they feeding you guys out there. All that McDonald's and Burger King and Wendy's, that stuff, that's not even real food. It's nothing but chemicals, all right? Now, I'm saying this not to body shame nobody or make nobody feel bad, but because, like today's theme says, I am my brother's keeper, and we have to be aware of that. Okay, I'm going to get out of here. It's about that time for me. It's about 2:55. But before I go, again, let's support black businesses. Our brothers need our support. We want to send a shout out to Brother Tariq Nasheed. He's the one that did the Hidden Colors series. He's coming out with a movie called 1804, I believe. It's about the Haitian Revolution. So let's try to make sure that we support that when it comes out. Dr. Umar Johnson, a lot of people have problems with Brother Umar. And I have to say that, I had some questions about him. But, as I look at him and look at what he's trying to do, I say, let's try to support that brother. It just hurts my heart that Dylan Roof was able to go into a church and kill 9 innocent people. And he was able to go on and somebody set up a GoFundMe account for him. And he raised $4 million within a year. I think it took him 3 months to raise $4 million. All right. Whereas this brother Umar Johnson wants to start a school for our young men, an academy, and he's trying to buy property. And he wasn't able to raise nothing but $700,000 in 3 years. And that's disgraceful to me. That Dylan Roof can kill people, a murderer can raise more money than a brother trying to help our people. Let's support each other. I am my brother's keeper, and we have to act accordingly. All right. Also, black businesses, in terms of black businesses, look for a site called ashkicking.com. They sell a lot of products if you're dealing with ashy skin, any type of skin disorders. They got a lot of stuff out there that can help people of color. So ashkicking.com, look them up, give them some business. Let's support each other. If you guys know of any black businesses that are starting out, I ask that you hit me up, give me an inbox so that I can give them a mention on the podcast, and we can drum up support for them. Because again, keeping it in mind today's theme, I am my brother's keeper. We gotta look out for each other. We gotta support black business. We gotta support black entrepreneurs and people that are trying to do things in our community. Okay, but before I go, our unsung hero of this week, we're gonna keep doing that. We're gonna bring you an unsung hero each week, somebody that that's not getting the notability that they're getting and that they should get. And the person that we want to talk about this week is our sister, our auntie, our queen, Maxine Waters, Democratic senator from California. She's been out there fighting the fight for a long time. We appreciate our sister Maxine Waters. She's one of the few senators that are very vocal and standing up against the tyranny that's trying to take over this country. And she is our sister. We need to support her, show her some support and some love. She's been in the game for a long time, fighting for rights of the individual, fighting for better wages for people in California and living conditions. And now she's in D.C. doing her thing. For those of you who don't know who I'm talking about the sister that wasn't letting one of the Trumpites get over her. She kept reclaiming her time. So I'm reclaiming her time and telling y'all, let's support Sister Maxine Waters. She is our unsung hero of this week. I'm checking my clock. Got one more minute to go. And in that minute, I'm going to tell you guys I love you. Thank you for supporting us. Keep the love coming. Again, we don't want your money right now. That money's not going to help us. This is the age of technology, and what we need is for you to go over to the YouTube channel, subscribe, let your friends know that we're trying to build this platform. We need you to subscribe to the channel so we can get our numbers up. And we're going to take it to the sponsors, and that's where we're going to get our funding from so that we can start the radio station. So if you guys have any talent, you want to be down, helping us develop this platform, inbox me anytime. I can use all the help I can get. But right now, I need the numbers. I need you to let your folk know that we out here. We're doing stuff for our people, by our people, with our people. And again, if you got a little extra change and you want to do something with it, check me out on YouTube and Spotify. Get the album, look for the music, buy the music. That'll help me out that way. And again, we really need your likes and we really need your participation. This is where your power is for us right now, the mouse. We need you to go over to YouTube, click on the like button, click on the subscribe button so we can get our numbers popping. And we can get the radio station, and we can get off this Facebook, because Facebook be kind of funny. It depends on the topics that I put out. Sometimes it just disappears, or they'll send me a notice saying, oh, well, you had music playing in the background, so we can't publish this. A lot of crazy stuff be going on. So I want to get away from this platform altogether. Take it to YouTube, build up the following real good, and then I want to hit you with the radio station. And keep it going from there. So once again, folks, thanks for joining me. I will see you next week. We're going to be digging a little deeper into this white supremacy nonsense that's going on. You saw what went on in the country today. They ain't playing. They got their thing on fleek. They out there. They're bugging. But they're serious about what they're doing. And we got to get serious about what we're doing. Not in a negative way, but in a positive way. We have to really get serious about organizing ourselves socially, politically, and financially so that we can be a force to be reckoned with. You don't see the Chinese and the Japanese out there marching and praying and singing, but yet they get stuff done. And that's because they have their thing together. They have their unity together because they have adopted the philosophy and they know culturally, yes, I am my brother's keeper. I'm out, ladies and gentlemen. Remember, don't get caught up on the lies that they're telling you, that you failed to prepare for the reality that is about to come. Love you. Peace out.